Welcome to NFL Daily, where we've just been killing time since our last over-under win totals draft. I'm Gregg Rosenthal, and I am so excited to be joined this year by my number one pick for this show. It's Nick Wright. You know him? Hopefully you love him. They've expanded First Things First to an extra hour. It's 3 to 6 every day Eastern. He also has a great show on YouTube, What's Right, with Nick Wright. Nick, you talk so much openly about your maybe irresponsible gambling that you just felt like the right man for this show.
Yeah, listen, everyone should gamble responsibly, but that is a do as I say, not as I do edict. And yeah, this is the best time of year. And thank you for it is a true pleasure to be on my favorite daily podcast. That is not an exaggeration. That is true. It has helped. It is the best way for me to keep up with everything that's happening in the NFL during the offseason. And if I may shout out Jordan Rodriguez, who I've never met, never spoken with, who I think just does an awesome job. I also feel like I know Nick Shook really well from the pods. And I know there's a whole cast of characters and everybody does a great job. But I really appreciate you having me on. And now I get, are there stakes on this? Like, how do we determine winners? Because there's not
I
a lot
work for the NFL, which has saved me a lot of, drama internally. But I think we can figure out something that could make it fun. That's
not just something we could just be podcast related.
Yes.
Like the winner, the winner has to have the other guy's podcast logo in the background for an episode or something.
Perfect.
I don't,
please,
you know what I mean?
Please.
That feel
because I feel confident. I've honked about it too much, but I'm on a 3-year heater with this show. You know, we did it back in around the NFL days. We've only done 3 to 4 picks every year, so it's just 10 picks over the last 3 years. So I'm 10-0 over the last 3 years doing this show.
Wait, hold on. You haven't missed one?
11-0.
You haven't missed one?
I haven't missed a single one. 3-0, 4-0, 4-0. Now, that streak's probably ending today because we were talking, and I agree. It's just the two of us. It's been 3 or 4 in the past. I think it'd be fun to get to more shows. And actually, if you check out What's Right with Nick Wright, he's going through each and every team. But I've avoided that. That's already up on his show.
So I was worried about that.
No,
I was like, you're going to get to front, or you're going to get to know my process. Nope. Can I ask a rule here?
Yes.
All right. If you take a team.
Yes.
Is that team, let's say you had I'm just going to pick a random one. Let's say you had the Eagles and you had them over 11.5. Do I have the ability to take the under on that team? Okay. Yes. So teams the only thing that can't happen, I can't have the exact same bet, but teams are eligible.
Yes.
Is that affects my draft strategy?
Yeah, to put your stake down and say, well, what are your favorite picks? But we can't double up on them. So it's a draft back and forth. And yeah, we're using the over-under win totals that are like the most common. I think we took this one off ESPN's. We don't have a sponsor right now for picks, but hey, ESPN just bought us, so why not? Nick, because I do wanted to just come to this fresh. I didn't look at your picks, although I held back giving away one of mine the other show just in case you were listening, just out of strategy. But I will give you the first pick, and I kind of have a feeling where you're going.
So here's the thing: you think you know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
You think that. And your draft strategy has probably been based a bit around that you really have the first pick because you know where I'm going to use my first pick. It's a little Princess Bride. He knows that I know that he knows that I know situation. So I'm going to throw you a curveball and not go with the team you think I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with a team very few people believe in this season, the team a lot of people think is not even going to win their own division, much less win their conference. And that is the nobody believes in us underdog Kansas City Chiefs to go over 11.5 wins. I know they're unwatchable these days. It's they play a boring brand of football. That there is, the league can only help them with so many conspiracies. By the way, if we check back in on the Rashee Rice isn't being suspended because God knows no one's going to watch Chiefs-Eagles in week 2 if Rashee Rice isn't there. That was a smart take, friends. I'll go with the Chiefs to hit their over like they do literally every single year.
Yeah, you got me. For a second, I did start thinking about my strategy because the Chiefs would have been, and I did write them down in order of confidence. They would have either been my second or third pick overall. Like, I am totally with you on their over. They have been a pick in this exercise previously, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe both. A lot of times, like, the easiest ones are the best teams being most consistent. Now I am at the point, though, where I don't think it's a zag, but we just did our award predictions with Jordan yesterday, and we both had Mahomes for MVP. I do just feel like,
thank you.
We are going to get a much more entertaining, better Chiefs offense, better Mahomes season, and they're 11 and a half. What is their over under this year? And yeah, I feel pretty good with their schedule right around 13. So I'm with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, their schedule is hard every year because they're in the Super Bowl every year. And
they're also in the AFC West, so let's calm down. It's fine. It's fine.
What do you mean?
It's like an average division. It's fine. It's nothing crazy.
I agree with you on that, actually. But I don't know if you've heard about Drew Brees 2.0, Bo Nix. I mean, I'm not sure.
Save it.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, you never know. I mean, maybe we could do a Broncos under in this pod because like we talked about, I'm giving up the dream of being undefeated for a fourth straight year because we're going to make so many picks. Although I swear to God, I made a long list last year and it was freaking outrageous. Now I need to share it with people because people will just think I was outrageous.
No. People don't listen. I'll be honest. There are people in the media that I think the audience looks at and they're like, yeah, that guy's a liar. You're not one of them. I don't think people think you're out here making things up. Here's what I would say because I kind of pushed you for us to do more.
Yes.
What if only the first 5 count for your historical record to give yourself a chance, and then the rest are bonus picks?
That seems confusing to me.
Okay, that's fine. All right, go ahead. Who's your first
I think it's actually a good thing. It's like Iga Swiatek this year. She was defending the French Open for like the 4th or 5th time. The pressure was so immense at this point. She just had to lose to get it out of the way, and then she became Iga Swiatek again. I don't need that sort of pressure. I need a loss. Right. I'm taking the Lions over 10.5 as my first pick. And I know the DVOA and the advanced analytics site look at their schedule and look at some of last season, and there's a reason that number is so low. That in general, the NFC North is loaded. The out-of-division schedule is absolutely outrageous. Their road schedule is preposterous because they're playing all the best teams in the league on the road. The Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Eagles, the Rams. I mean, that's crazy to play that many good teams on the road. I'm just not going to get too complicated here. To me, they are right there at the very top of the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Ravens and the Eagles as the best team. You give me 10.5. I think that division is a little overrated in terms of the competition. I still think they're easily the most talented and best coached team. And so I'm not going to think too hard. I'll go Lions over 10.5.
Oh, okay. So that wouldn't have been one of my picks, but that is because I did all 30. I did on What's Right with Nick Wright. Get it wherever you get your podcast. I did 12 bets, and then but the other 20 teams, I still said which side I was leaning on. So for the Lions, they weren't one of my bets, but I did lean over. Here is my only trepidation. You said they're going to be really well coached. We hope. We know that Dan Campbell is like the head. They're going to be really well coached, but are they going to have good schematics? And here is a take I've kind of been working on, which is culture setting is wildly important for a bad team that you're taking over. And once you graduate to contender, schematics are more important. Because it's easier to have a good culture when you're, playing meaningful games, all those things. So I think Dan Campbell is the heartbeat of that team. But I also think they could miss Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. And then if we look up and the Lions went 7-10, which again, I do not think they have too much talent. I don't think it's going to happen. But if they are the team that's like, oh my God, what happened to them? I think the only way that happens is if the playoff game plus the loss of Ben Johnson rattled Goff, who you guys have talked about on Quarterback Island and, about how consistent he is at this point. I just think that that type of catastrophic postseason performance coming on the heels of not a catastrophic, but a devastating postseason loss, I would say there's a 10% chance that, Goff is shaken because of it. Again, I like your pick.
I mean, why would he be shaken now? He's had so many clunkers in big spots. It does happen. It's why, I feel anxious about predicting them to win the Super Bowl, but 10.5 games. The schematics take, I do like that one. Like, does he have a little Mike Tomlin in him who has not done a good job? The difference is, I think, Campbell was so good at picking his coaching staff and coaching up his coaching staff and developing them as a coaching staff that I have faith in his coordinator on defense, especially Calvin Shepard, who's been there. And I just think that defense is going to be so much better, and that gives them a lot of wiggle room. I am a little worried because they're just talking about, the playoffs only matter. If we're a team that, goes 11-6 or whatever, it's okay if we have less wins as long as the playoffs only matter. So I do worry I might have to sweat this a little bit, but not too much. I just took it as the one pick. All right, you're up.
All right. This is a team that I think going into December will be alive to be the 1 seed in their conference. And that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over 9.5. So I have two and we'll get to the other one later, whether you pick it or I do, kind of bullish or bearish predictions that I am preparing that, midway through October on First Things First, the topic bar is going to say, Nick, ready to admit you were wrong about ... because I think that it is that a team that I think is going to be mediocre is going to start strong, and the Bucs I think are going to be excellent, but I could see them starting starting average. But their final 10 games for Tampa Bay are at the Saints, home for the Patriots, that's not an easy one, at the Bills, obviously tough, at the Rams, then Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, all in Tampa, at the Panthers, at the Dolphins, which at that point might be being coached by interim head coach, and then home for the Panthers to end the year. I think they could finish super strong. I love Ibuka. I thought it was somewhat shocking that Wirfs and Godwin are on the active roster, even if it doesn't mean they're going to play week 1. I like their opening 3 games as well, Falcons, Texans, Jets. And I think that Baker Mayfield knows I am one more awesome year away from being in the $55 million a year club. I know that hurts your feelings, Greg, which it shouldn't, because he's part of the Short King Club alongside you.
I mean, he's 6 foot tall. If you're trying to put 6 foot tall people in a Short King Club, where are we living?
Amongst his peers.
I get it.
He's not undersized for
weirdly
human.
Amongst my peers, like a nebbish, short-looking Jewish guy is pretty average. So
no, I was gonna say, yeah, absolutely. Like you're like amongst your you are taller compared to your peers than Baker is compared to his, oddly. But
still not true. But
I will take the Bucs over 9.5 with an absolute bullet.
Yeah, I love it. I'm already regretting not watching your shows on purpose, because I did clock that, because I could have strategized. That was pretty high up there on my list. Eric, our producer, and I kind of forgot we did a first look at over-unders. I didn't make any picks, but back in April when they came out, we shot it around with Nick Shook, and I went and checked what I said on that. And the one thing I had kind of forgotten I said, that then I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I should trust my first instinct, was that Bucs over 9.5 looked crazy to me, because I'm with you. I think they have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. I always look at line play. Like, their defensive line, I think, is going to be a lot better this year because of Hassan Reddick, because of the development of some of their younger guys, even on the edge that people don't know, like a Chris Braswell. And I just think their defense is going to be better in general, and I love the consistency on offense. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a little annoying.
And the division.
And it's 9.5. I thought they'd be 10.5.
There's 2 teams in that division that could have the number 1 pick of the draft. You know what I mean? I don't think the Panthers will be quite that bad. Sorry to Saints block party. The Saints I do think will be that bad, but
don't give away your takes,
Yes, go ahead.
Don't give them away. Our producer Eric, by the way, I think has had a journey that a lot of your fans, your listeners have gone through. He's a Bills fan, so I think he had complicated feelings about Nick Wright. But yeah, I think you've won him over time, that ball. That he doesn't just hate you. Now he respects you and hates you.
Two things have happened with me and Bills fans. One is I got a little credit with them because last year when everyone was way prematurely short selling them, I was like, oh, I think they're actually going to be really, really good.
They were my number one overall pick in the over-under draft last year, by the way.
You and I we talked about it last year, that I thought that people had overrated the talent of the players on the previous Bills teams who then left, which then made them underrate the Bills because they thought they had lost more than they had lost. So I think that helped. And the other thing that helped is it's hard to be mad at me for just being right every year. And so like at some point they're like, you're a hater. But they're like, okay. So yeah. And we had Deion Dawkins on the show and he's a delightful fella. I like him a lot. I didn't love that he kept calling me Nicky. It felt like dismissive, but I did enjoy the spot. But go ahead.
He must be well liked because he got ranked in the top 40 of the NFL Network's players. And I was just like, man, his teammates, and I mean, he's a good player. His teammates in the league, but just like love that dude as a human too. Not saying, Okay, let's go. Second pick. So I went back and tracked. And by the way, Bills overs were 2 on my picks the last couple of years. I've really gone at the top of the league and the bottom of the league the last 2 years. Teams I think are going to stink and teams I think are going to be great. This is a team I think is going to stink, which is getting 7.5 games. It is the Indianapolis Colts. Let's go under.
No.
I thought about taking this first overall. I go with my gut. I try not to overthink these things, to be honest. And I just was like, man, this team could absolutely stink. You agree?
Not only do I agree, I now have major FOMO because I was debating whether or not to take them with my second pick.
Yes.
I think they could have the number 1 pick of the draft. I think it's on the board. I think that part of that is just, in my opinion, the football karma of how they handled the Anthony Richardson and the quarterback situation and Daniel Jones. And I just feel like they deserve a super down year. Another part of it is like, is there a single player on that offense I love? Like Jonathan Taylor theoretically, but if we were to, rank running backs 1 through whatever, like I think Jonathan Taylor probably shows up a little lower than you would initially think. And I feel like they deserve some comeuppance for drafting a quarterback who never played in college, basically. And everyone being like, listen, the guy can leap tall buildings in a single bound and is faster than the speed of light. We don't know if he can throw, but hey, this unmolded clay. And then 15 games in being like, screw it. Daniel Jones. Like, I just hate the process of that so much. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly. And then division-wise, without, again, giving anything away, I think the AFC South could be a little better than people expect this year. So you're not like, that's really does Cam Ward, make them viable adjacent question. And so because of all those reasons, yeah, I love that pick for you. I'm jealous.
It was partly like Shane Steichen's press conference, and he's clearly warring with his general manager. And I just was watching it all and thinking, oh man, these are the signs of a team that completely implodes. Everyone knows that they're about to get fired. They're not agreeing from the top. Like there's new ownership in theory with Jim Irsay's. It reminds me a lot of the Panthers a couple of years ago in Bryce Young's rookie year, who were getting like 6.5 or 7.5. Like people were kind of up on them, and just there's a lot here that I think is bigger than football that I'm worried about. And then you look at the football itself. You're replacing a couple guys on the offensive line. You're hoping Lou Anarumo, helps that defense. Shane Steichen has gotten this team to win, and the schedule is not bad. So that concerns me a little bit. But sometimes I think you got to look, beyond just the X's and the O's and the guys on the team, because there are good weapons around Daniel Jones. I kind of like their skill position group overall. But to me, it's a more, I think they have 4 wide receivers I like Tyler Warren enough. Like Jonathan Taylor's a good, if you put a real quarterback and a better situation in, like, I would like this team fine. But we're not in that world, and I'm going under. And you know what I love in these exercises? It's like I had the Giants last year and the Bears. I love when, like, you already won by week 13. They're stuck at 2 or 3 wins.
Oh,
they
yeah,
need to get to 7 or 8. And I think they are the most likely team that is.
Yeah, that's most years with the Chiefs over. You have it clocked by just after Thanksgiving. And you're mentioning a Steichen Ballard potential, power struggle. It's a shame neither one of those guys has spent a bunch of years cultivating friends in the media to have his back if that happens.
It's a good call. Yeah, Chris Ballard has lasted. He has the Jeff Fisher sort of memorial, lasting a couple years extra, just because he's well connected. All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, you've shaken up my draft board. I had a very clear top 3, and one of them's been taken now. So I am going to go with my 3rd consecutive over, and it is a team in the same division as one of my other overs, which typically you don't want to do, but I feel that strongly about. You went from a bottom 3 coach to maybe top 10, bottom 3 quarterback to top 12, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders, who I understand are going to have some trouble defensively. However, if we know anything about Pete Carroll, it is he will coach up your secondary. Max Crosby's awesome. And is it on the board that the defense will naturally be a bit better because they don't have the energy sapped that a team has by having awful quarterback play? You add to it that I love Genty. Bowers is great. I don't have to preach the gospel of Geno to you. And listen, on my show, I picked the Raiders to make the playoffs. Wow. They only need 7 wins for this. I think the Raiders over is a very, very healthy bet.
Yeah, I think this is going to be your worst take of the show.
Wow.
Well, not the over. That's fine. Can they win 7 games? I'm going to go against it if we do a long enough list, and now I don't need to take that pick anytime soon because I know where you're going. But making the playoffs seems crazy to me. I mean, I get it. Best defensive coach, all that. I also like to pick what I'm rooting for, and I am rooting for the Raiders this year because of Geno, so I'm conflicted. But Pete Carroll wasn't a good defensive coach for like the last 8 years of his career in Seattle, and that roster stinks. I mean, it is. I think it is the worst defensive roster in the NFL. I actually don't think it's close, even though it has Max Crosby. They are 32, 31, 30. So that just seems like a lot to overcome for me.
Wow. That's disappointing. I thought you might be with me because you like Geno so much.
I do, and I'm rooting for it. So I'll be conflicted when I take their under later. If we go long enough, we'll see how many we get through. I'm going to go with one I know you're not taking. Maybe I should be strategic then. Let's actually go one further down the list, and let's go Vikings over 8.5 now. That was one of the things that stuck with me all the way since April. You look surprised.
Oh, I'm very surprised.
I know they won. What did they win last year?
14
games. The Bears won 5, by the way, and they have the exact same over-under this year. I just think people are just like, oh, how could we possibly recover from losing Sam Darnold? Just think of all the teams that fell apart after they got rid of Sam Darnold. It's like, no, Sam Darnold was not that important to this team. The offensive scheme, the best wide receiver in the NFL, the coach, they were what's important. And oh, by the way, like the best defense in the NFL, or maybe the most talented entering year 3. I get the schedule's really tough, and I'm betting on 2 NFC North teams here, which is, like you mentioned, a little tricky to go over on both of them. But 8.5 just felt like I would be really surprised if this team had a losing record this year. I really would. I like them better than the Packers. I like them, to win. I would put them, if it was at 9.5, I'd go over that too.
Here's my only question on the best defense in football part of it. So many turnovers last year. Mm-hmm. Like that is the one piece of that is a little concerning. And the other piece is obviously JJ McCarthy with the limited experience in college. You're right that we have seen Kevin O'Connell win with Cousins and Darnold and get the best out of those guys. What we haven't seen Kevin O'Connell do is win with inexperience. Like Darnold's experience was bad, but it was experience. Kirk Cousins had a bunch of experience, obviously, when Kevin O'Connell got there. And so JJ not playing a ton in college, being that young, and then missing all of last year, that to me would be a concern. Plus, I'm probably higher on the Bears than you are, leads to where I would. It is hard to go from 14 wins to 7 wins. Like that is, relatively speaking, pretty rare. But I wouldn't have gone with the over, so that you could have taken this whenever you wanted it.
Yeah, that's the thing after doing these drafts. Everyone has much different opinions anyways. It was surprising actually that we had so much in common, at least with the Chiefs and the Colts up at the top. But I feel great about this. Josh Matella said this is their master's level year on the defense, year 3. I think they're going to be peaking. All right, you're up next.
All right, this is one that I fear you might have tipped your hand a bit when you said, the AFC West, is it that good? This is one of my, this goes hand in hand with my Raiders over. The Denver Broncos are not winning 10 games. Under 9.5.
I love this. It's pretty low on my list, so I'm fine with you taking it and taking more of the heat from the Broncos fans who are, they're just vicious people out there.
Yeah, well, listen, be happy you live in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Be happy that you get to watch Nikola Jokic play basketball. There's a lot of things to be happy about that you live in Denver. But this, I could go quite some time about the lunacy of how overvalued I find this team to be. First of all, everyone sends me these just glowing dissertations Sean Payton gives on Bo Nix. And all I do is I just Google news timeline. This time 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and 5 years ago, when I was subjected to, in the same off seasons, dissertations about how, hey, Steve Young, you know who he reminds me a lot of? Taysom Hill. Taysom, like that. And again, I don't think Bo Nix is Taysom Hill, but I think he's closer to Taysom Hill than the guy Sean Payton's trying to convince me he's close to, which is Drew Brees. I also have never seen a team that went 0-7 against the other AFC good teams last year, unless we're including the Chiefs backups. And then you can't even say they were peaking at the end of the year. They played Buffalo and got curb stomped. So, Nick, how did they get to 10 wins? Well, let's go through it just quickly. And again, I think the Broncos defense should be really good. Am I nervous about the injury concerns for the 2 big pieces from San Francisco? Of course. But the quarterbacks that this Denver Broncos team beat last year, after having a great game against Baker, were the following: Aaron Rodgers, Aiden O'Connell, whoever the hell was starting for the Saints last year. I don't remember. Was it Carr? He's not in football anymore, right? Bright. The Panthers quarterback in week 8, Bryce.
Broncos was Rattler, I think, on a primetime game, actually.
Oh, the Saints was Rattler. That's right. It wasn't Carr. That is correct. Kirk Cousins right before they pulled the ripcord. The Raiders, again, I assume O'Connell. The Browns starting quarterback in week 13 last year. Let's check and see who that stud was. It was Jameis. The Colts quarterback in week 15. Is he a starter anymore? No, I'm sorry. That was Anthony Richardson. And then Chad Henne. So you beat 2 guys who are currently starters, one of which is 42 now. And
wait, did you just say they played against Chad Henne?
And everyone's like, all right, and I'm wrong. Chad Henne's not the backup anymore. Is Carson Wentz. It was Carson Wentz. I apologize.
I was like, I was a lonely man once on Chad Henne Island.
Hey, man, he had one of the greatest.
I was like, I think he's been out of the
plays in Chiefs history. Anything is possible. The scramble on 3rd and 16 against the Browns in the playoffs. And then the only thing Sean Payton has enjoyed more than cultivating friends in the media and talking up Bo Nix is reminding people how close he was to drafting Patrick Mahomes and telling Seth Wickersham about his proprietary algorithm of evaluating quarterbacks, which is just completion percentage minus bad plays. And so color me skeptical that the Broncos are a true contender. I will go under.
I love all that. And they were very, I made a pretty long list. Broncos under 9.5 was on it though. It was towards the bottom, but it was on it. Yeah, part of it, do I have the guts? Because I do like looking at offensive line plus defensive line, and just like that. That's where you find a lot of underrated teams. It's why I'm going to choose my next over. I might as well just say it. It's the Jets, which is going to be an over. I'm going high.
Wow.
But that's
I
a
like
reason
that.
to like the Broncos, by the way, is that, man, their lines really do look pretty darn good. And that is Sean Payton's secret sauce, I think, more than his algorithm. That is so funny. Yeah, I think he always has a good offensive line. He's hired good offensive line coaches. They've just found a way to maximize that unit in a way very few teams have. So that makes me worried, but I'm under on them too. I love that. All right, let's go to the Jets. I've been saying it all offseason. I got to just like stick with what I actually feel. I thought the craziest thing when the totals still when they came out was the gap between the Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets. I just don't get it. And I just think these teams are all closer than you'd expect. I think the Jets have a very good offensive line. I think they could have a pretty good defensive line. I like the changes in terms of Aaron Glenn becoming their head coach. I think Robert Saleh was a little overrated. I know the defense played pretty well for him there, but the talent on defense is still there. And 5.5 is so low in that division. You look at their schedule, the AFC schedules out of the division is ideal. And you get 4 games against the Dolphins and the Patriots, which I think are winnable, at least to split those games for the Jets. Yeah, I feel good about 5.5. I think it's one of the dumbest things in sports is nothing harder to do, than win a game in the NFL. It's actually not that hard to win about 6 games in the NFL. You don't have to be that good. You just need to get a good schedule and have some good vibes in the building and some talent, and they definitely have that. So I like the Jets to go like 7-10. I feel good about over 5.5.
So listen, here's what I like about the Jets' chances of just having a normal, fine, below average year, which is what you're describing. This is the first season that players and coaches on the Jets have been able to operate day to day with the media and then week to week without every single thing being a referendum on what about the quarterback. Because going from Darnold to Zach to Aaron, everybody was just a NPC in the development of that guy's movie. And so I thought it was really smart of Aaron Glenn to go not only move off Aaron, but to also pick as banal a quarterback as you could find in Fields. Like, listen, nobody's like, oh man, is he the answer? It's not about
I think Nate Tice is still there. Nate Tice.
Oh, really?
No, I don't really know that, but there are Fields fans out there. There are fans,
yes, but still, but it's not. Everyone else can just go about their business, and it's like he's building the team, and then they'll address the quarterback, which is not a good way to win a championship, but it might be a good way to get things going. So I'm fine with that. I don't even remember where I had them. I also think that it doesn't matter. So I do think, though, my only concern is I do think that they're probably the last place team in that division. But now some would say the Dolphins, the floor could fall out, which is fair. But yeah, I don't mind over 5.5. Like you shouldn't.
I can't do, actual bets like you.
Yeah.
But whatever their playoff odds are, like I would like the value on that. I don't think it's that crazy to imagine them as like the 7 team. You just talked about, culture change. I think they're going to be a little more like you think the Raiders are going to be, where just culture, which is really important. They have a clear like person in charge. Usually it's ownership. It gets messy. Douglas and Saleh they were kind of feckless. Like this is Aaron Glenn's organization. I mean, have you heard a word out of their GM? Do you even know who it is? Darren Muji, who has no presence whatsoever either. And like, it's clearly just a Glenn hire, and it's all about Aaron Glenn. And I'm kind of buying into Aaron
So
Glenn,
I
at
like
least to
that
just
too.
make them fun.
Can we have a quick sidebar conversation?
I want to get through these picks, but yes.
Just very quick. If the Jets do make the playoffs, I think that would probably mean the Patriots don't.
Yeah.
And if the Jets make the playoffs and the Patriots don't, I just would like your great producer Eric to just cut together a few of your kind of almost just throw in asides over the summer about how obviously great Drake May is. Like, it's not even worth discussing. Like, like and whether it was in your tiers list when you argued with Sando, it's like it's just. I think in a courtroom, if I were the other attorney, I would say, objection, Your Honor, facts not yet in evidence. I like Drake May.
I think that's fair. I had regrets, not regrets, but second thoughts after we did that QB tiers was like, am I putting the cart before the horse a little bit on Drake May?
If they finish
third
in the division this year, then I'm just saying we need to look at the cart and the horse together. All right. My next one, I'm going to go with another under. There's two I'm looking at, and so I'm going to be strategic on which one I go with. I'm going to go with one that I think you could take. The Niners under 10.5. So this will be, from a talent perspective, the worst defense they've had there since Shanahan first got there. Now, I think Saleh will do a nice job with, taking over the coordinator spot. I don't doubt that in the least. However, aside from Bosa and Warner, it's a bunch of real question marks on the defensive side of the ball. The injuries at wide receiver at this point are almost cartoonish. And some quarterbacks can take a receiving core of Sky Moore and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and win multiple Super Bowls, but Brock Purdy's not one of them. And so that worries me. Christian McCaffrey, when he's out there, is a top 3 back in the league, but the when he's out there part is a concern. And like Trent Williams, they can't win without Trent Williams. And Trent Williams' backup signed with Kansas City. So like that's, and he's the oldest tackle in the league. All of that, plus Kyle, not so subtly lowering the expectations for everyone and all of that. The fact I'm stunned at this number, that it's 10.5. And what everybody argues is the schedule. And my counter to that is simply, what if the Niners are a soft spot in some other team's schedule? And so the fact that this team, in theory, could win the division, make the playoffs, and the under still hit, I'll take the under 10.5.
Yeah, this is one. I don't know what happens for you because you're on 3 hours a day now, and you got your YouTube show. So I mean, first of all, you're doing the nicest thing possible. We're not. We've never even met in real life. This is only the second time you said. But the nicest thing you can do for a friend is you're giving me more airtime in a day that you're doing hours and hours. But what happens when you just don't know? You don't have a take. That's where I'm at with this entire division with the 49ers. I've gone back and forth in my mind all division. If I had to make one right now, I probably would go with you and under, but it certainly wouldn't make my top 10. And I won't pat myself on the back or feel bad about anything that happens in this division because I don't have a take. I really don't. I don't know. I don't have a strong take on anything that could happen here. You could tell me anything. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I that's how I kind of feel about the Cardinals and Seahawks.
Yes.
I do feel strongly about the Rams that if Stafford's healthy, they're going to be excellent.
Yes.
But if Stafford's healthy part is such a, huge, dark cloud hanging over it.
All right. I will go next. You got your Niners. You did not take one from me. I'm going to go Cowboys over 7.5. you're reacting like I took it from you, or that you think it's a dumb pick. I love this pick. I could have taken it even higher. They're in a division where I think the Commanders are overrated. That's one where I've seen enough of your social clips where I know we're on different sides of things there. And so I think the Commanders are overrated. Giants, we'll see. I mean, they're fine. Um, Man, they have Dak Prescott on their team, a quarterback that I absolutely trust, a lot of talent on that offensive line that's young. I am buying the propaganda that Brian Schottenheimer will be a better head coach than he was a coordinator. Got a little bit of his dad. I think he's got that organization in terms of his coaching staff and the players kind of tuning out the noise as well as anyone possibly could. And ultimately, I think they still have the bones of a team that won 12 games, 3 years in a row with a pretty mediocre head coach. I love their defensive line. I mean, I think it could be the best edge group in the league, assuming Micah Parsons is going to be on the team. And I am assuming that. I know you talk about it every day and stuff, but it just history tells us he will be on that team. It would be a blow to my pick if he's not on the team. But it's not 8.5. It's at 7.5. And I feel great. I think they're going to win 10 games. I have them in the playoffs. I like the Cowboys this year.
Wow.
I probably should have taken them earlier, to be honest, based on thinking
you
they should
didn't
be in the
need
playoffs.
to, because I was going to go under.
Go for it. We should have a challenge. You could take them
well,
right
here's
now.
the problem. I'm working off. Can I say the sports book that I got my numbers from?
Say anything you want. Yes.
Okay.
We have no
I don't know I'm working off the DraftKings numbers. And so the DraftKings total was at 8.5 with a lot of juice on the under. So you know what I mean? So that's why
it's sort of in between.
Yes. The real, back in the day, some win totals landed on even numbers. You know what I mean? It was so the real Cowboys total, if it was 10 years ago, would have been set at 8. But
if you wanna step up here, make it 8, and we go on different sides. It's just a fun little challenge here. I'm happy
good with
to
that.
do that.
Yeah, sure, deal. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah, so no action if they go 8 and 9. I kind of screwed you if they go 8 and 9 because you had already land grabbed the 7.5. No, I think this could be a year from hell for them. I respect your football opinion so much that your opinion of their D-line is making me reconsider my opinion of their D-line, because I look at the Cowboys as a team that with Micah Parsons should have an okay defense, and without Micah Parsons might be one of the worst defenses in football. Now, it sounds like you feel very differently than me about that. And I also think I think Micah going to get this second opinion on his back is not so subtle shot across the bow of we will miss games.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome. I agree.
And so there's that. I just don't see how Dak's going to have a phenomenal season for them to win. And I don't know, like George Pickens is, to me, I put him in the kind of the bucket of player, which is he's one of the reasons that in professional football, more than any other sport, I believe talent can be wildly overrated. Like I hear so much, the guy's got so much talent. Like football is too hard and too brutal and too many other things that if talent's the only thing you can lead with, that I don't necessarily trust you. And so the Schottenheimer piece concerns me. I just never like hey, if you didn't get that job, who else was going to give it to you? And the answer is, shoot, nobody. Like, I got to tell you, I had that always.
It's the Cowboys, though. They're just different. But what they're not in general is consistently bad. I mean, certainly in the Dak or Tony Romo era. Like, give me the back-to-back lousy years out of the Cowboys. I hear all that. Fair. I think they are among the highest variance defenses in the league. I'm counting a lot on Matt Eberflus to like get that system and kind of put a top over it by, I think it might be ugly early. They have a couple really talented cornerbacks in Trevon Diggs and and Siobhan Ravel, like that we just don't know injury-wise. They will be run on, like in the interior. It does not look good. But that edge group, if you just go through it, Sam Williams is really talented coming off an ACL. Marshawn Nealon, Dante Fowler, Micah Parsons, Donovan Ezeraku. 5
Dante
deep, that's as good
Fowler.
as it. He was good last year. He was literally the Commanders' probably second best passer. I'm just saying he's like a rotational guy. Okay, that I don't know if that counts as one of your
that
your
counts.
picks.
You did Cowboys over. I did Cowboys under.
So then I'm back. The one thing I'm rooting for now more than anything is the Cowboys not to land on 8. That'll just bother me so much if you win because of that.
No, I won't win because of that. It'd be a push.
Sure, but I mean like the overall competition between the two of us. If somehow that push makes a difference. I'll go Commanders under 9.5. I'm not being strategic. Also, we only have like 10 minutes left, so I should get the ones out that I want. Because I know you like the Commanders a lot this year. I think there's a lot of ways that this could go really wrong. Obviously, it's tough to bet against pick, because I don't bet, against a quarterback this good in Jaden Daniels, but it is going to be his second year in the league, so it's not the longest track record of success, a unique offense, and I just think the defense could be really poor. The skill position depth, very poor, and I think there's just a lot of ways it could go wrong, and they could be a losing team.
So I'm probably not quite as high on the Commanders as you think. I'm sure what you saw was
I saw you had them ahead of the Eagles. You know.
Well, so I had the Commanders and the Eagles both 11-6, and in my make-believe standings, in my predictions, am I going to actually figure out who would win the make-believe tiebreaker, or does tie go to more interesting? It went to more. If I have them both 11-6, and Eagles fans hate me already, might as well be like, and you know what? When I've crunched the numbers, the Commanders, based on strength of schedule tiebreaker, they're going to win the division. And so I have a bias against skinny football players, particularly at the quarterback position, and because of that, I was a Jaden skeptic, and he was
been very wrong on Lamar. You know,
I mean, I've been the most right person in sports media about Lamar Jackson, and one day people will admit it. And there's nothing wrong with being Aaron Judge, man. All-time great. Get a statue one day. There's nothing wrong with it. And Lamar's not skinny. You've seen Lamar's neck. It goes past his ears. I was worried about Jaden's ability to stay healthy. And last year, I got to admit, obviously injuries, the worst thing you can do in sports takery is be like, I think the guy's super talented, but I'm worried he won't stay healthy, because it's a bummer of a take. And if you are correct, you don't get to be like, told you. Like there's never a moment.
Just keep it in your pocket. Keep it in your head.
But he did get hit last year. He did get the bruised ribs, and it didn't matter. Like he had the brief moment where his play dipped a bit. He is super talented, and I love how they added to the offensive line. And I think that they're patchworking the defense. So I do like the Commanders. I'm not a Commanders going to the Super Bowl guy, but I wouldn't have gone under. All right, I'm going to go. It's my turn now.
I know. I'm actually surprised I went with that so high. That was a spiteful just to get a saucy pick in there.
No, that's
go
good.
Up. Let's go fast here. We'll get
this is this is the last year I can ride with this guy and this team if he doesn't come through for me. And I'm going with the prince that was promised and the Jacksonville Jaguars over 7.5.
This kills me. This shows I shouldn't have taken Cowboys or Commanders, because in my heart, I believe that more than the picks I've already done. I don't know why it was lower on my list. I'm looking at my stupid list. I'm with you.
Terrible move by you. Listen, man, I still believe in Trevor Lawrence. But man, he's got to validate it. And I don't like when people say he never has, like it's all based on college. Year 2 for him, he was good. The following year, they started 8-3, and then he got maimed in that Monday Night Football game. They didn't have a cart to take him off the field, and poor guy hasn't been the same ever since. Hopefully, he is this year. You are, I think, correctly super high on Travis Hunter. I think for Trevor's case, it's really nice that he seems to be, they're going to lean more offense than defense with him. Brian Thomas Jr. is excellent, and it seemed like they were just done with the Doug Peterson experience. And so I think that we talked about how the Colts and the weakness there. I think in that division, could they win it? Sure. Would I'd be
Mm.
devastated if they don't get to 8 wins. I think they can get to 10, so I will go over Jacksonville.
I love that. Sometimes you don't really know what your heart truly feels until you're just like doing
Yeah.
these shows. And truly, I think I would have the Jaguars in my top 5 or so. I'm in on
Well,
that.
so I got one of your best bets and you
Yeah,
got one of mine
yeah,
because you
that's
got
fair.
Colts under and I got Jags
And with
over.
that in mind, I'm going against what I had written down, and I'm taking Saints under 5.5 before anyone else does, just in case. I just feel like, man, if they got to 5 wins, I would say bravo, Kellen Moore. Good
Wow.
job. I just think this team stinks. I think they could be 2-15.
Wow.
I went to camp and I was actually like, man, their defense is kind of spicy and this and that. What you're so surprised by that?
No, I just
I
you
just
have a
think,
soft
yeah,
spot in your heart for
yeah.
Louisiana and for New Orleans and
Here's the
just
thing though, Saints fans, they don't want this, but they kind of want this. So I think if they get along the journey, I won't even feel bad rooting against them because hashtag arch my back. They
wow.
want the scenario
Oh yeah.
where they're getting in position for Archie Manning, who, they believe will only come out in the draft if the Saints have the 1 pick, which is probably wishful thinking and stupid. But all right,
Yeah,
go on.
I would say is it not on the board that the opposite's true? The only way
Right,
he doesn't come out.
right.
I'm gonna go Bengals under 9.5.
Bold on my very long list. I agree, but wouldn't have been something I would have picked.
I just I don't understand why it's going to be different than last year. And the answer can be, well, the defense won't be quite as bad, and the offense probably won't be quite as good. I think the Bengals' offensive line is one of the more under discussed big question marks of the season. I think that the defense is I listen, as a Chiefs fan, I'm glad they got rid of Lou Anarumo. Like I understand that he
Mm,
struggled there last year. He sure seemed in the playoffs to give Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen trouble, which if I'm the Bengals, that's actually all I want from my D coordinator. You can do what the Bills do, which is have defensive coordinators that are unbelievable throughout the regular season and then can't stop a good quarterback in the playoffs, or what the Bengals had, which is the opposite. And so I I also uh fundamentally disagree with how they have decided to build this team. And I think that
mm.
they are, I think that we are staring at again, I understand he's arguably the greatest coach of all time, but so not to disrespect Sean Payton's tenure with the Saints, but a similar run of when Breeze had 3 consecutive years where he averaged 5,000 yards passing, and they went 7-9 every single year. And I think that, unlike Sean, I don't think Zach Taylor survives it. I think they missed the playoffs again, and I think Zach Taylor's fired.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one, but ultimately I agree. It's not that different than my Colts pick. It's larger than just the players involved. It's the organization,
Yep.
it's the structure of it all that's gonna sink them. So ultimately, I agree. All right. I want to have an odd number. We can't be tying. So let's go. I'll do
What do
2
you
more. You got 1
hold
more,
on.
and then that'll put us at 9 each.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I know that math is not a strong suit of this show. How on earth does whether we each have 8, 9, or 10 impact whether or not we tie?
Well, because if we each
That's not
oh
how it's
yeah,
gonna
you're
work.
an idiot. I'm an idiot. Well,
Why don't we both?
I was
Why
thinking we're
don't,
going against each other.
yeah, but we're. But,
Yeah. We got a lot of shows,
I
putting
get
out a
it.
lot of shows.
Listen, man, why don't
No,
you
you're
do
right.
an eighth, and then we will have done 16.
No,
That's
that's
half
good.
the league.
No,
So go
that's
ahead.
perfect. Man, this is tough. And I'll just give some freebies to the people out there, the ones I'm considering. The Dolphins under 8.5 feels like it's too obvious for everyone, and yet I do like it. Um,
Mhm.
the Giants over 5.5 takes a little guts, but I do believe in it. I think they're going to be better than people think. The Ravens over 11.5 doesn't take a lot of guts, but I do think they'll get there. But I think just for consistency, all 3 years on these over-unders, I have taken the Bears under. And,
Wow.
and this is only going, we only had 3 or 4 picks each year. And they were my first pick, I think, or like
last year.
twice.
Last year you were correct. Nobody was more
every
wrong
year I've been
about the
correct.
Bears.
They've been under every year.
Yeah, nobody was more wrong about the Bears in the national media than me last year, and you were about as right as anybody.
So Ty, and you said it in your case, Ty goes to what's the saucier pick. Yeah. To me, the Bear, just consistency for the sake of the show, going Bears under for the 4th straight year, even though I do think they will be better. 8.5 in that division where I like the Vikings and the Lions quite a bit. I think he'll have done a fine job, Ben Johnson, if they win 7 or 8 games.
Wow.
They're not as talented, I don't think, as people think, certainly on defense. And so I'll go under Bears.
Okay, that's perfect. I would have gone over. So that's perfect. We did it. That's great.
The only man who could just slide in an amazing joke about, the 49ers aren't the type of team that could win with Sky Moore and MVS at wide receiver and just keep on going. Like, I hope that was off the dome. One of the most talented guys in the business, Nick Wright. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love the show. The only thing I don't like about coming on it is it takes now tomorrow. I got nothing to listen to. See you later, Gregg. Thanks.
All right. We will see you, Nick Wright, and saying goodbye as we hit the music and tell you a little bit about what's coming up later this week. 40s and free agents on Friday will be in your feed. Patrick, Jordan, and I will be over the weekend, our reasons for joy in 2025, and then a couple season preview episodes with Daniel Jeremiah. Then we are on to our week 1 schedule. The over-unders are out. Football is back.